All right, we are live. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. And actually, this show today is called The Buck Stops Here, sponsored by Buck's Sanitary Service, because the buck really does stop here in our community when it comes to Black unity and how we as a culture and a community are going to handle this. There's a lot of things going on nationwide, but what's happening here in Lane County in Western Oregon, and specifically Eugene and Springfield. And so I've been trying to get a hold of Isaiah for like days. And I've been calling everybody I know. When I walk out of my office, I walk around the cornucopia, and all of a sudden here comes this big guy walking up and hugging me and going, "Hi, I'm Isaiah." And I'm going, "You're the dude I've been looking for, man." And you are?
My name's Clea.
Clea. So you two kind of explain to people, set up what this is and who you guys are, so people kind of know what's going on.
Well, we are Black Unity. We are a group that has formed pretty quickly here in Eugene, and we are really wanting to come together as a community and be able to show everyone as a community that, we're united.
So go ahead, Isaiah. Talk.
Oh, my name's Isaiah. I'm born and raised here. And my big part is, like I said, with Black Unity, making sure that we all feel united together, protected, and respected.
So in terms of Black Lives Matter, and right now the big thing is police, defunding the police nationwide. That's all we're hearing in the media. And when you and I were talking yesterday, you guys are looking at this a little differently than that. Go ahead and explain what that would look like.
First, I want to apologize for my voice. I have been yelling a lot.
This is the after effect of a protest.
This is not what I normally sound like. Defunding the police, we're not trying to take away, we don't want, all of their funding to be taken away. But we do want them to be able to disperse the amount of money that they have through other organizations. We have like Hoops, or, we even have people forming organizations to, maybe even do city watches and stuff like that. But the amount of money that the police are getting should be dispersed evenly through other organizations that are trying to help.
And let me touch on that. We as a group didn't make the term defund the police as kind of a blanket statement. The way that we believe in is type of police reform, like we're allocating the oversized budget and making sure we're funneling those funds to other organizations, as in defunding police that are in the school systems right now. That's a big topic. And what we're really trying to do is get crisis response workers in these schools. People who are trained
instead of resource officers,
instead of police officers, crisis response teams that are trained to deal with children under the age of 18. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're an adult when you're 18, but people under the age of 18 on down, they're trained to be hands-on. They're trained to show that they have a safe space. Thank you. Without any type of violent repercussions. Because they're trained.
Because I remember when all of a sudden it became the big thing to have resource officers in the school. And really even when police became more community social workers, and I don't think that's what police went to that isn't what a police officer really is supposed to be or trained to do. So what you're saying is we still need police, but we need to have also people in the community that are trained to go out to handle crisis situations.
1,000%.
At this point in time, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Robert, seriously, that's Robert Patterson. Josh says, so they can focus on policing rather than trying to be the answer for everything, even stuff they aren't necessarily trained for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that police are called to the critical calls, the calls that people can't really handle, the ones that are potentially life-threatening or dangerous calls. We want those folks who are trained in that aspect to be there to handle that. But like I said, crisis response teams for the stuff that police kind of really don't have any business putting their hands in.
What do you guys think are the misconceptions about Black Lives Matters, because Black unity is ours? I mean, is it okay if I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's our kind of thing in Eugene and Springfield and Lane County. But in terms of Black Lives Matters, what do you think people are misunderstanding about it?
I want to say real quick, I think people are misunderstanding the fact that when we say Black Lives Matter, they think that we're only saying Black lives only matter and nobody else's matters. That's a huge misconception. Please touch on this.
When you say, when we have all these organizations like Save the Whales, everyone wants to go help and save the whales. Nobody's saying, but what about the elephants? Elephants are my favorite animal, but if there's a campaign for saving the whales, we're going there for saving the whales.
I haven't thought about that.
We're not saying, okay, we're going to why save the whales when we can go save the elephants too? There's a whole other
the sea turtles, everything. We're trying to tackle a lot of things, but this is a movement for Black lives. We're trying to show that, like I said, we matter too. We're humans.
So when somebody says, because as a white guy, I'll just tell you this. As a white guy, sometimes I feel like, well, wait a minute though, but don't we matter too? That's not what you're saying.
No, no. Everywhere. There is, when all lives matter comes up, we get that. We know that. We understand that. There's also this, what do you call it?
Misperception?
No, not misperception. This little story like about how, if somebody has a neighborhood, there's a neighborhood and there's a house that's burning on fire and the fire department comes, they're not going to go spray water on the house that's not burning down. Oh, they're going to go spray water on the house that's burning.
And to me, they also took a statement and they shortened it when the statement really came out and said, we need to live in a world where Black lives matter too. And they shaded it to Black lives matter. And that's when you started saying blue lives matter and all lives matter to become a political thing, like the Democrats are Black lives matter and the Republicans are all lives matter. So which one's going to sound better to you? Shouldn't all lives matter? And so,
but I like Black lives matter too, because it almost takes it and says,
I've been saying
we're not, we agree you guys all matter too. We're not saying that, but God, what about us? We were the ones who've been kind of treated like shit for
400 years.
Yeah. And so we're just asking that people recognize, but see, to put the two on there, words are so important. Okay. So let me ask you this, because I really would love to ask, I love sitting down with people that can explain this to me. And I had a couple of folks who were Black on my show recently that we're talking about, but white privilege. What drives me crazy is every time I get into a conversation and I say anything, then, and usually it's white people. Honestly, it's hardly ever Black people, but usually white people are saying, well, there's your white privilege showing. And I'm going, but how do I stay in the conversation? I understand the concept of white privilege, I think, but I want to be in the conversation too, so that I can help. But if I'm always, I've even had some people come on and say, you don't get to be in this conversation because you have white privilege. And it's like, well, then how am I going to help?
So how does that?
Yeah, go.
I mean, when you have white privilege, you should be able to use that privilege. You know what I'm saying? So if someone's saying, don't join this conversation because you have white privilege, I mean, I think that you have a little bit of sense when you're saying, I want to help with my white privilege, because that's privilege that you have that we don't.
Right. And,
even I myself, I have some privileges that, someone with even darker skin may or may not have. That's a whole different topic. But.
Right. Yeah, I know that.
So, as me having a conversation with multiple people that I've shared with in my life that are female, what I was told was this: men walk around with no fear of being raped, and we will never understand how some women or all women, I'm not speaking as a woman, but walk around with that fear. So that's what we're trying to get. It's like men can really see and understand that there's certain things that we won't get as what women go through.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, vice versa as well.
And I will never understand as a white man what you feel like when, especially, you may get this too, and I may be wrong, but I know that a lot of Black men have said to me, when you go out of the door and a police officer pulls you over, you don't know what's going to happen.
You know what I've understood, which changed a lot of people's hearts that are white men? When the daughter is with the Black man and they have grandbabies and they see that they have beautiful Milano babies and they're scared for those babies to go out there and all the things that they have been thinking other people are thinking about them. And so that's when you see a lot of change of heart when they look at their grandbaby and like, that's my grandbaby and she is not white,
My niece is married.
I'm not saying that it's going to take, I'm not saying it's going to take integrating races like that to do it. I'm just saying a lot of people have had a change of heart from that because they were able to empathize.
Like that one that Cindy said.
Which one?
Cindy. Yeah.
Is there one you want me to point out and you can answer a question?
Yeah. So
which one?
We need to educate everyone on Black history. We do not teach much in the school system.
Also, I want to give out a shout out to Pride Month as well.
Yes.
We need to educate everyone on. Cindy, is that you? Cindy Vale says we need to educate everyone on Black history. Is that what you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We do not teach much in the school system. Ashley, popping in before I go to sleep. Wanted to thank those two for their voices on the night of the first protest. Exactly. You guys, honestly, I mean, and plus, so how pissed off does that make you when you go out and do a rally or a protest, and you're really doing your thing, and this is about Black unity, and then a bunch of people who are not Black come in and start tearing up your town where you live and burning things down, and all of a sudden, I mean, you're out there in that video, Isaiah, and you're like, it was so obvious that you're going, stop. I mean, you're screwing up the whole thing. You're ruining our cause, and you're hijacking the message, and then all the people remember, a lot, is, okay, you guys are these violent, horrible people out there doing this. And I go ahead, just tell them, what do you think? Come on, Spitfire, go.
Well, I mean, that picture aired of me or surfaced of me, and it looks, I mean, yeah, it looks like I'm screaming next to a fire, but I was screaming for people to stop. I was saying, please, please.
So tears.
So how
tears, because that's how much it means to us.
How have you managed to, I mean, you kind of kept it really pretty clean. I mean, not a lot of problems. How do you do that?
I mean, who's going to hurt someone who's my size? Like, and I'm literally begging you. I'm begging and pleading with you. Like, if you want to keep going, like, keep going. But I'm probably going to, like, try and scratch you off. I was just really shocked when I turned around and I heard glass breaking, and I was like, what's that? And, you know, there's people literally smashing into buildings, kind of like what I had seen on the news, except it's in front of my face now. And I was like, that's not going to make the movement look good at all. And that's not what we want to do as a community at all. Like, we're fighting for peace and for justice, and that's not peaceful.
Right.
That's not peaceful at all. And so, I mean,
what do you want people to know, Isaiah?
I just wanted to touch on that, on the pleading and stuff like that. You know, Martin Luther King learned how to die every single day. Black men were walking around with a death sentence, so we have that learning how to die every day, like we're on death row. When is our time going to come to where we get publicly executed? So to me, doing the right thing is an easy thing to do. Pleading love, pleading for people to join in and try to get the right cause was very easy for me to do as an individual.
So if you're sitting, I mean, you have an opportunity, you're sitting here and you know, we have a highly white audience out there, and and I don't think, and people have already come on here, why aren't we having more conversations like this? And I think it's, you know, in my community, in the white community, it's the white community that's keeping this from happening. I mean, I want to have these conversations and understand. And when you walked up and hugged me and said, hey, Rick, how you doing? That just opens doors. And, you know, and you're the third folks I've had on who've come on and been brave enough to just kind of come on and just say, this is what it is. And every time people learn more.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that it starts out in the schools. It definitely was the question that I saw from Cindy. It starts out in the schools. We have one tiny little month that we're able to, sorry guys, I'm trying.
This is after protest voice.
We have one tiny little month to be able to learn about Black history, and they teach us about Martin Luther King. He's great, he's amazing. And they teach us about Rosa Parks. She's great, she's amazing. But they don't teach us about the actual in-depth history. They just teach us, oh yeah, they got equality for everyone. And then he died and he was fighting for peace. But they don't really teach us about what he was really
They highlight
about.
the glory, and they're quick to say slavery and then skip over that part and then move on. Even if you watch Roots as a kid, I mean, watching in school, watching Roots doesn't just, it highlights a lot of things, but that's just not the only thing you can do to understand and really go through. You have to understand what happened in America after that point. Just because we were given rights on a certain day doesn't mean we were given rights for all men to be created equal.
Right.
And the fact that I've had to educate myself as an adult about my own history after, you know, going to school for 13, 14, 15 years. Why am I just finding out all of this as a 22 to 25-year-old woman? And I didn't learn that in school. I'm learning through documentaries. I'm learning through researching on the internet. By the way, Netflix has amazing documentaries under Black Lives Matter. I suggest 13th, as well as Who Killed Malcolm X. You'll learn a lot.
On Netflix right now.
On Netflix, yeah. They're great.
And I don't know what you think about this movie, but every time I see a movie like that, I come out. I saw Harriet Tubman, and I walked out, and I went, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
I mean,
because they don't
seriously?
teach us that in school.
Well, and then then I find myself, because you're in Eugene, and I look around and I see like 2 Black people in the theater, and my wife and I are sitting here, and all I want to do is go sit down and go, "Okay, what does that feel like?"
Don't do that.
No, I know, but I so want to know. Oh my God, this is so horrible.
Yeah,
That
it's horrible.
and I mean, what a woman.
I think what America's really lacking is the simple fact that all of these movies are created to highlight what was kind of going on with Black folks and who was in. Let's show who's in power. Let's show that this is the master. Let's show that he lives in this home and he's keeping these people as slaves. And then they go and break free, and then we're all like, yeah.
Right.
But what it does never shows and highlights how white people came to the conclusions of Jim Crow law, what was going on behind closed doors, what were the meetings taking place, because it wasn't just about keeping slaves. How can we keep these people down even after slavery?
Mhm.
What systems can we put in place? Can we all, now that all these Black people don't have any education and they're running amok on the street and we have all the education, what systems can we put in place to make sure that only people with education can strive and survive? What systems can we put in place to make sure that our kids and our ancestors to come continuously have their statues, their buildings, all the rights to the land, all the rights to the ownerships, creating slums, putting Black people in boxes. These Black people live by the coast, and then they shoved us out and decided that was a high popular land, and we need to shove them into the inner cities.
So is that how do we? And that may answer my
Taking up all
question.
the real estate.
How do we still, as a white culture, do that to you?
How, like, to this day?
Mhm.
Well, I think to this day, so I mean, there was a lot of slaves in the South at the time. And to touch on the movie that I was talking about, 13th, it explains that a lot of Black people spread out. Minneapolis, Detroit, LA, they got out of the South cities and they went to, the cities now. And so we've kind of made a home for ourselves, in the cities. And how, as a white community, you guys are, doing that now, I think that there's still not enough opportunity for the Black people to have what, you guys are able to have.
And what she means by opportunity, what we're saying is that everybody believes in this this magical, mystical theory of the American dream, which is if you work hard, you'll be paid and compensated for your success. Everybody started out on this equal platform. So if you work extremely hard and you do the right things, you're going to be hoisted up to where you need to be. But when you're disadvantaged for so long, disenfranchised for so long, and marginalized for so long as a people, and just given education recently for us to really learn and understand and embody what that is, like I said, so many years of keeping us down, putting us into inner cities, telling us to hate ourselves, keeping us into a certain mindset. Once we start building and breaking away those mindsets and relinquishing those chains in ourselves, we step into a society where white people already have the upper hand. We're trying to get white people to trust us. If they don't want to give us opportunities, like she said, and trust their friends that are around them, because how many people, Black people, are in private schools that are able to build that networking source? Just because you see 2 or 3 people there because they're there to play basketball, football, and baseball and dance does not mean we're not there that want to be politicians. We're not there because we want to be doctors, lawyers, council members. We're not there for all that type of stuff.
Is
Exactly.
that how you feel?
Absolutely. When you look at these predominant private schools, when you have a lot of white kids there and a couple Black kids there, they're the ones, like I said,
The
predominantly.
crowd goes wild when a
Right.
Black person comes out in sports.
All the while, the white people are getting together, building bonds, friendships, and hoisting each other up and keeping us at the point of just figure out how to entertain us.
So do we then? Oh God, that's ugly, gross. So and I hope people don't. Well, I guess whatever. I'm having a conversation with you. So we like you as long as you're our sports stars or people we can relate to that way. But otherwise, you're just
kind of like kind of like a court jester. So like,
that's really, so honestly, that's what you feel like.
I mean, I don't
certain instances, and
culturally,
like you said,
yes,
culturally,
yes,
absolutely.
So how do I change it? How do all these white people on here and people, how can I be part of a solution rather than continuing to be I'm kind of like enslaving you?
Invite us to big board meetings, invite us to do outreaches for, people of color for certain schools. Don't just hire someone for a minority hire. Don't just have, people go to these schools because they're a minority. My little sister goes to Stanford. And one of the most frustrating and annoying things that I got when I was really excited about her going to Stanford, she got in because she was black, they needed to have a black student.
So it's not about her brain or all the things she did.
She's so smart, it's ridiculous, and it's embarrassing how smart she is.
That sister, huh?
Yeah, she's my little sister, and she is just ridiculously smart.
People need to sit up and realize what people are protesting for. Just last week, we had people going out protesting COVID-19, wanting haircuts. And we have black people out here saying we want our lives to be valued. I mean, look at the difference. I don't want to die. Look at the difference in the statements of what we're protesting for. It's like, really look at that in a whole. What people can do is vote. What people can do is stand up to oppression. These backdoor conversations that you feel in a workplace because, hey, you're here, I'm not here. And I know those conversations do happen because you think that the man that owned the Clippers organization was the only man that felt like that,
right? Saying
those racist things on a phone. There's plenty of other people who feel that way. We need more people to step up when racism happens. Call it out, not just call it out, but make sure it's known. Make sure people understand this is racist, this is not okay. And so we can get these people removed and get people who are qualified that look like all people, because America is not just white. And we're not here saying all white people are bad. I think people are not taking that as a stance. I'm half white myself. My dad is white, and I love
I'm also half white.
I love everyone.
I think it's mostly white people that do that to white people. I mean, honestly,
you said it.
I'll say that. I think white people say that to white people. I get bitched at by white people for being white privileged more than any black person has ever said it to me. And it's like most black people, you guys are. I think it's relationship. You hang out with people, you start finding out. I mean, what we're not different. I mean, as our skin color is, but underneath that, culturally, yes. But why can't I learn your culture? Like Isaiah walked in, I went, dude, I love that shirt. And he tells me a little bit of the history behind the colors and what the shirt is. I don't know what that means, but I'm honest enough to go, okay, if I say anything stupid, can you just kind of explain it to me?
So here's the thing, it can't be so anecdotal either. So if somebody turns you away, don't feel turned away. I mean, we're not supposed to get beaten down to our knees and stop trying. If you get bent down to your knees, figure out how to get up and push past it and keep fighting. If you want the knowledge, it's out there. There's people out there willing to help you and lend a hand when it comes to these type of things. So please don't get discouraged because one person, 2 people, 3 people say something. Go out there and really seek the knowledge that you can find.
Yeah. With that being said, I think that as the Black community, we're really tired, and we're really tired of having to feel the need to explain. And so when these times pop up, and now people are wanting to like learn and be like, hey, so what should I do if this happens? Or I get tagged in a lot of posts with like, racist comments, or like, hey, you should comment on this. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm tired because I've been trying to stand up for myself. I grew up in a very, very predominantly white community, very tiny town. And I was constantly having to fight for myself for 18 years. And it's tiring. So
does it kind of feel like, just the same analogy that you already used is, okay, so now this horrible thing happens to Mr. Floyd and you guys bring this issue up, but all of a sudden, and I'm saying it, we're paying attention to you again because you're entertainment.
Yep.
So do we really want to change, or is this just another, does it feel like that sometimes?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, if I want to touch on that, that's maybe how you guys feel that we're entertainment.
No, I don't mean
no.
that.
I'm
mean
not.
what
I'm
you're
just.
talking
I'm
about.
addressing the question.
Okay.
I'm not saying you.
Okay.
If I speak, it's just generalized. So we're out here because, like she said, we are tired. You saw what happened with Rodney King when people get off and how LA reacted. And I'll be honest, I would have reacted the exact same way to see that type of hatred and brutality. And then now in 2020, we're watching the same
Still happening.
Happen right in front of our face. So people are upset and people are angry and they're saying, hey, we need to make sure our voices are heard and known that this is what's going on. And we're, like she said, tired.
Just very tired. White allies are amazing.
Absolutely.
They're amazing because they I'm not going to like decipher
No, you
like
just
create
your
like a
mind
divide,
and-
but
yeah.
there's lots of people who are white allies out there who will literally like try and help educate other white people. And I think that that's an amazing, when you educate yourself as
Go up a little bit.
as a solution on how to, I'm trying to answer one of the questions I see.
Which did you see which one it was? I can put it on there because I can post them up there.
To offer
them to keep
solutions.
focus.
But as a solution for our tiredness is
Which one is it, you guys?
to always be educating yourselves. So like watching
Okay.
watching these amazing documentaries or looking up on the internet like what actually happened, or literally asking Google questions, because there's lots of articles that have been written about, from Black people who on how you can help. Excuse me. And so when there is other white allies out there who are trying to also help educate, so we are not trying to have to seem like we're, argumentative, because I feel like oftentimes when we're so tired of having to explain or having to like stick up for ourselves, educating can then maybe even come off as being aggressive,
Right.
or being just really frustrated. And, it looks different from when he's aggressive to, maybe a white lady who's like just as frustrated and just as aggressive to people who think that this may be a movement that's not for them.
And I also wanted to touch on something that that I wanted to inform people about, and not say that this is how I personally feel, think, or believe, but it's just something to inform you about. When people of color were asking for reparations, they look at this instance of America was able to shell out $2 trillion with a snap of their fingers, and people were asking for restitutions to be paid, for reparations and to be paid for so many years. And when America needed it, they jumped on it. But when Americans like us need it, they weren't able to come out and shell out the funds. They said that they didn't have them. So that's where a lot of people feel, oh, you didn't have the money, but now you have the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, I'm not, like I said, that's just to educate on something that I was told from a few of my brothers out there. It's not how I necessarily feel. It was just an educated point that I wanted to say.
Talk to me about, because this is one I don't understand. I feel this is like these are hard. These are hard conversations. You know what I mean?
They're uncomfortable.
Because people want to, and people. I'm more worried. Honestly, I am less worried about you three. We have a studio audience over here than I am people out there, because people want to misread something. But I want to talk about the monuments that are being asked to be torn down or being taken down or something, or Dee Dee Hall with the name. As somebody who's going, okay, so it was a different time out of context, back in the context of the day, is that, you explain to me why that's important.
It's a psychological nuance of oppression, keeping people that have ties to racism and slavery.
So is it the KKK, that cross that we're touching on? That, the fact, I didn't know, I'm not from this town.
Okay.
And so I've been here about 6 years. I had no idea that was up there and what it historically was. I was like, really? I was kind of taken aback and shook.
If there's one we need to highlight, tell me.
And the fact that, that is still up as a monument or some historical thing,
Jordan Myers.
It should definitely be 1,000% taken down, because the history behind that quote unquote monument is very brutal, and it's very ugly, and it's very scary. And
see, because I think a lot of people, I didn't until I saw the picture with the KKK on it, because when I've been here for 35 years, it was a war memorial when it
and
was.
that's how you can twist history.
Right. And I think, was there a different cross there in the originally? Because I think that was put up in the 60s or something. Was there one, that picture you had looked like it was from even longer ago.
That was something that was actually sent to me, and I should actually probably just.
We should look and see, because I
about
think
that
there might have been. I wonder that there was a cross up there with the KKK, and then this one comes up. But still, if it's replacing,
something that
right,
was meant
then,
to be symbolize that in the 1920s.
So that's really scary.
Yeah, that's scary.
We don't need to be. We need to move past as a society from those monuments and those aspects of what was really going on ingrained in the South and here with where the people wanted to have their touch in history on and put monuments up. We need to take those down and make sure these work. In 2020, we need to take these down and make sure they work for everyone.
Right.
For everyone. That's the whole point of the symbolism of taking the Confederacy flag out of NASCAR, because NASCAR wants to be for everyone, not just a selected few.
So what can we do? What is it that how do we help? How do we, honestly, like as a white guy, how do I not get in the way? But how do I keep my voice? That's what kind of sometimes for me, when somebody says you have white privilege, and I said it yesterday, my issue, if I have many issues, my issue is my dad always took my voice away. So when somebody comes and says you can't talk, it's like, oh, fuck you, I'm talking, you know? Yeah. And so I don't want it, but I want to use it in the right way. You can use it, but you say the same thing. Don't go looking at me like that. It's my show. I can say that if I want.
It's very true. That's
why
I'm talking.
Yeah, but how do we do this with to continue? A lot of people are on here saying, I'm reading little things, this is the conversation we need to have. We need to be talking like this, because I mean, you guys aren't scary. Seeing you out in a protest, that might be kind of, people might think it's scary.
And real quick too, as well, Black people of color are not unreasonable about this. We never asked you to tear down Lady Liberty. We didn't ask you to tear down the Washington Memorial or the Mount Rushmore. We're not asking you guys to tear down things that do symbolize what America's all about. We're asking you to tear down the things what America's not all about.
And that's the
just to touch on that again.
People, that Confederacy, they lost. So
right,
why are we honoring that?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Confederate flags make me very uncomfortable.
Exactly. That's why there's a team called the Yankees for a reason, and they're the best baseball team in the world.
Oh,
I mean, they've won more championships.
Did you see him pull that in there?
I mean, there's someone from my hometown who plays on the Yankees. Shout out Jacoby Ellsbury.
So what else? I'm sorry, you guys. I have not been paying attention to you, and I don't mean to.
Back to helping.
There was someone.
How can we help?
Amelia Cooper, I think I
Where?
saw her name.
Amelia
but
Cooper,
she
right
said
here.
That, nope, it was up more.
Okay, Amelia, I'm going to find you here. Hold on.
She
Oh,
said
there we go.
something about amplifying.
Read a book
voices.
that can.
Nope, keep going up.
Keep going. You guys, there's so many great comments
and while
on
you're
here.
fighting this, I was just going to say that while we ask for empathy, we understand that there's police officers out there that we don't walk in the shoes of, and that we don't know what it's like to be them as well. So we're not saying that we don't get that as well.
She says that white allies help amplify the voices of the unheard.
I love you.
That
Your
is
voices to echo our
amazing.
voices.
Like when I have my white allies who are able to say, no, wait, hey, like this is what they're trying to say, but you're not really hearing it. So I'm going to say exactly what they're saying. But because I'm white and I have privilege and I'm able to sit here and talk to you like this, and you wouldn't like that from one of them, I'm going to tell you how this is going. And also, like, you should watch this documentary, or did you know about this? White allies literally they're like loudspeakers for us. Because we're already pretty loud, but you just put us on like
reread if since you're so into politics and so into constitutional rights and amendments, reread those things so you know what they are, and ask yourself, have I ever marginalized somebody and not lived up to this constitutional way that we're supposed to be living? Because if you read it, it does include everyone.
Right.
So please realize that. I mean, our LGBTQT, sorry if I left any letters out, their community can't even be accepted in this world. They're still going through a lot of things. Just like Black folks are still going through a lot of things. So if we're all about everyone, all rights for everyone, then we really need to look at that and really reevaluate ourselves as America, because empires fall, they don't succeed. And if you don't think America is an empire, you need to check yourself. America is a gangster empire, the most gangster since Rome, and Rome fell.
We were talking yesterday.
And I'm not saying that we're here to collapse it. I'm just saying we need to get this together as a people so we can build America.
So empires fall when people are oppressed.
Unite. Yes.
And we were talking yesterday, and I said, look at what we do to the Latino population.
Absolutely.
We still think everybody works in the fields.
Let me touch on
And
that.
I know so many people who own businesses in this community, and I still have people amazing. And even migrant people that work in the fields, that's good too. But it's not, everybody is not that. And we draw these lines, and it makes me sick because
Latinos in the professional workplace in high corporate situations are some of the most needed.
Yeah.
Get rid of baby in cages. Get rid of that.
What is that? I don't know what
that is the detention centers that they're putting these immigrants, is what they want to call them, and they're jails. They're jails for our Hispanic brothers and sisters and children.
Babies.
Are locked in it like animals in cages. You know what I mean? So we need to get rid of that. Get back to our humanity. We're still human.
And even in a community like this, we have to stop looking at people like they don't belong.
Right. Yeah. I understand that there's rules and regulations and things that we do not abide by and live by. I understand those, but we also need to keep our humanity in the end of it. We need to look at things in the face of how we need to get things handled, and says, is this handled humanely? So
as a last little message then, because I know you have stuff you have to do. Obviously people are very interested. Give us what in terms of the protest, how long because you guys are doing them every night, aren't you?
Every other night.
Every other night?
I can't do it.
We have our organization is getting
more organized.
I mean, we're all new to this in Eugene. I mean, we're rebels in our own right. And what do we mean by that? We're people who were always wanting to seek justice, always want to fight for the truth. And we felt that in our hearts and souls. So that's why we came together as a collective unit to be more organized, get a message across of what we want to have, no more mixed messages, and let everybody know. Any organization out there, we want to, any organization fighting for Black Lives Matter and fighting for good, we are your ally. We're not here to separate ourselves from you. We definitely want to work in coalition with you to make sure we are fighting for change together.
And even if you're not for the same movement we're going for, we're not your enemy.
Exactly.
What is that?
Unless you're the Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
If you're the Ku Klux Klan, please.
Which should be seen as a national terrorist threat because of what they stand for.
Right. Should be
so what are you talking about Antifa? Are you talking about other?
So if there's an organization who necessarily doesn't agree with what we're trying to,
as Black Unity, what our organization stands for,
we're not your enemy. Like, cool, we still want peace with you. Like, just because we don't agree doesn't mean,
right. Just
like I can have a conversation with you if we don't agree on something, that's cool. You might get a look from me personally. I'm just kidding.
No, my wife and I know. People say that all the time. Rick, I don't agree with you. I like what you said sometimes.
Cool,
my wife doesn't agree with me.
Yeah,
it's like
cool. Like let's talk about it or move on from it and keep chilling.
And stop looking at people like, I mean, be proud that you're Black, and I should be proud that I'm white. But that shouldn't get in the way of our relationship.
You should be proud that you should be proud that you're white. Like,
how can I make sure that is not getting in the way of you being Black?
You're doing a great job of it right now by letting us be heard on your station.
Giving platforms, giving opportunities to everyone, not just me because I'm a Black man, not just because of affirmative action, because that's so like there's so many negative stigmas with everything like that. We're saying just give people opportunities. have a diverse portfolio of people in your life,
right,
and in your office, and in your community, and in your public office, everywhere. Listen to people. Act. Don't talk. Act. Say something. Be about it. Right? Actions speak louder than words. So we don't want to hear you talking about it. We've heard you talking about it for too long, and that's why you saw people unpeaceful. We're tired of talks, lip service, things that are said today and gone tomorrow.
Right.
We want real actions.
Because I think that's one of the things I've learned in the last year is when you read statements from people like love is an action word.
Yeah.
If you truly love, you can't just sit there and go, "Hey, I love you." You have to do something.
Yeah, love is a verb.
Yeah, it's a verb, and so is community. You can't be part of a community if you're just sitting here. You have to be involved in that. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be involved in a movement of human beings and Black unity, which is Black unity too, you have to be in relationship and be doing something.
Our group, not just in our organization, but our group accepts everyone. And what do we mean by that? That means if you are a gun-toting Trump fan that's completely opposite, we obviously don't want you to bring your gun out because we're peaceful. There's no reason. We're not animals.
If you want to take me hunting, I'll go hunting with you.
We're open up to go hunting with you and shoot guns. But if you want to come out and have a conversation and speak to somebody, that's how it starts. Also come out and see what we're all about.
Right.
See what we're really chanting for and learn what the chants are about, because that's how you're going to educate yourself. You're not going to educate yourself if you just sit home and say, they think Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. They want to defund the police. That's bullshit. No police, no nothing. What are people going to do with no justice?
They're taking headlines.
So it's just like I said, exactly. Stop taking the headlines and leave the political mess out of it. Leave the media out of it. Come to one of these things and see what they're really all about and talk to people. Don't come in here to take over. Don't come in here to yell. Don't come in here to say F you or F this. Have a nice conversation with somebody. And if people like that are going to turn in our group that we're protesting with, if people start getting any ill intentions towards you, we're going to deal with them accordingly because we're here to accept everyone. And that's what we always will relay that message.
And if they're coming to make it into a violent protest, don't show up.
Don't show up.
Do not show up.
I'm going to yell at you, and you're going to get really tired of my voice.
You're not welcome.
And I've only been around here.
Doesn't mean we don't love you.
My face in your face. Just don't.
I have friends that have reached out to me and say, "Hey, brother, I love exactly what you're doing, but I'm too violent. That's why I don't come out here." And I said, "Thank you.
Yeah,
I love you too, but thank you for realizing that in yourself and just staying home and helping us from afar."
Watch the live stream.
Watch the live stream.
Is there anything we're missing over here?
I think that we really want everyone.
Okay, hold on. We have more.
I did want to touch on something really quick.
Okay, you go for it.
As another way that you can help. So one thing that I wanted to say is I saw a Facebook post from someone from my hometown. Like I said, very tiny town, we'll just leave it at tiny town. And she had this Facebook post about her silence.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of explained what she was doing with her silence. She was going out and she was having uncomfortable conversations. She was researching stuff that, we weren't taught in school. And she was, praying and meditating and really asking herself, she posted this. She said, why do I think the way that I think? And why do I act the way that I act? And a lot of it comes down to is we're taught, racism is taught. Like I saw two little girls playing in the park the other day, two different colors, and they were just laughing and hugging each other. Racism is something that has been taught for years and years and years and years and years. And also ignorance has been taught from years and years, being blind to what, you can't see. And so I don't think that she was not racist in any way at all. But, she might have been a little bit ignorant to the fact of what's going on. And she took it upon herself to stay quiet about what's going on so she can take the time to learn and have uncomfortable conversations. Because if you have an uncomfortable conversation about racism, imagine how uncomfortable it is to experience racism.
Right.
So yeah, the conversation is going to be very uncomfortable.
Right.
But you just got to make it through that uncomfortable conversation so you can kind of get on the end and be like, okay, I don't have to go through this, but I'm uncomfortable enough to where it bothers me that they have to go through this.
Yeah, and I think we do that. I remember when my son was like 2, and his babysitter, the wife was white and the dad was black.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking I'm being a good white dad, and I'm saying, now Jake, he's 2, and I was trying to explain to him that Bill is black. And Jake looks at me and he goes, "No, he's not. He's brown." And I'm like, "Well, no, but Bill is a black man."
Yeah.
And Jake's looking, "He's brown." I said, "Well, but we and just forgive me because this was a long time ago." And I said, "Well, but we call them black. Well, why? That's stupid when they're brown." And I looked at Jake and I said, "You know what?
That is stupid.
Just forget we had this conversation.
Just forget about
it
the
doesn't
conversation.
matter. You saw no color, and I had to point it out to you
Yeah.
because in thinking that I was doing the right thing so that he'd be educated, instead of going, maybe I just leave it and don't bring it up."
And the fact that he did see his color, because we don't want you to be blind to color,
You
but
celebrate
we want
color.
you to be gosh, you got me with that.
You don't see color, you celebrate color. So when little kids come up to
You
my
see
dad
culture.
my dad is very, very dark. He's from Nigeria. So when little kids come up to him, oftentimes they say it's like chocolate. That's a celebratory
You see-
word. Like
Right, right.
your
You
skin
see
is like,
culture.
you see culture and you celebrate culture and you celebrate the
and,
differences.
and to touch on COVID, there hasn't been probably a lot of the Asian community. I'm not speaking for the Asian community, but there hasn't been a lot of people in the Asian community that have really felt the way that Black people are really feeling, because now people are looking at the Asian community like, you brought this here.
Right.
You brought this sickness. That's what people of color have been looked at.
Right.
You brought this here. You brought this sickness. It's somebody that's Asian can't cough. I mean, think about that. Think about the ridicule that they get and how they're living. They're
Instead of
scared.
who did this,
to
why
go
can't we
outside
figure out
and-
what can we do to
you
fix
know,
this?
And so it's like, we got to really look out and protect our Asian community as well,
My
because
son's girlfriend
that's just,
is Asian.
it's just,
and
that's
she's
just not
getting
right.
that.
That's just not right.
No,
Yeah.
It's not
and I've
right.
had 5 people come up to me in this town and say
Right.
they feel that. They
Exactly.
experience it from people looking at it or shunning them or and stuff like that. And you're going, oh my God.
People
Stop.
are learning
Stop.
something now that you need to be better.
Stop it.
And that's all people. I've seen it from all sides. We need to be
I
better
always
on
come in,
this.
I just want to remind y'all to let them know where to find us.
Yes.
Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram, where they can
Quick
protest
plug.
with us next.
So here's how to find them. Go ahead, you guys. Oh my God. I can't put all these things up, but they will be on Facebook, and you guys can go in and answer all their questions when this is all over and stuff. You guys, please share this on your page. And, I got a sponsor. That's how I'm able to do this, Buck Sanitary Service. And he just lets me pick things. And I wrote him at 5:30 this morning. I said, here's the conversation. He goes, do it. And that's the kind of people we need in our community. So I know when you have to go to the bathroom, I would say this, when you have to go to the bathroom, you got to go bad. You don't give a damn what porta potty's there. But if you're having an event and you like the content we put on here, then there's the people that you need to celebrate them too. That's how it works. When I got to go, I'll go anywhere.
I'll go on a bush.
Okay.
So our Facebook page is Black_Unity. And then our Instagram, do you have our Instagram pulled up over there?
I do. Our Instagram is we_R_. Black
Unity. And
Twitter.
R is ARE, not
Twitter is
R.
eBlack_.
We will be hosting a Juneteenth event too as well, so please keep your eyes open for that. There will be 2 events going on because this should be a weekend celebration.
Yes, it should.
So, David, I see your
We
note
ask
on-
you to attend both.
I don't know who you are, David, but you're saying I want Rick Dancer to talk about what it means to him to be proud to be white. That's not the conversation we're having right now.
I can say that you can be proud to be white, to be able to have your privilege and help and get out there in the community and also be friends with people of color and also be friends with, people.
Well, see, for
Also,
me, it's like
yeah.
I'm not proud to be white. I'm proud to be a human
You have a
being
family.
in a community who is open to all people, and I'm not. I'm not proud to be. I'm proud to be white, and I'm proud to be a human being who actually has feelings and understands that I don't know everything in the world. And if I open my mind and my heart and I listen to people who are different than me, the story that I create in my life is much more interesting than that of some freaking white man. I don't want to die on this earth being a white man. I want to die on this earth being someone who opened the doors for anyone and everyone. That's all I want.
Can we get an
So
amen?
that's what it feels like for me to be a human,
Say that.
not a white man.
Say that.
And I don't mean to be mean, David, if you weren't goading me, but I'd love to be goaded, and that
He's just speaking.
kind of irritates.
Also, I'm Isaiah Wagner. Please, you can reach out to me, follow me as well. And then I have my POC, Peace Unity group, just for everyone to celebrate peace and love. And that's a group for Eugene as well.
So you guys get a hold of these folks, get on their pages, find out what's really going on, and you know, when they're blocking traffic and stuff, just find another route or
Drive in with us.
sit in your car.
Join us.
I was behind you guys the other day.
Please follow up. Like I said, if you're not able to find our sites, please find us on Facebook so we can help you find our sites, because we're constantly posting what our organization is about.
Do you guys put where you're going to be, like what areas people can join?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Tomorrow we're going to be meeting at Baker Park in Eugene at 6 p.m. And the destination is Actually, we have a destination, but you guys will find out.
To be announced?
Yeah, to be announced.
So people can just show up, you do a talk, you kind of inspire people, and then you guys march.
Yeah. And we always love to have a really fun time at the end.
Well, you look like you're having a fun time the whole time. I see videos online, and you're out in front just like.
Well, I coach cheerleading.
It's pretty obvious.
I'm
Except you never do this.
I'm a cheerleading coach, and so
stop killing people of color.
Which one is it?
Vicky, stop stopping traffic. Stop blocking traffic. You know, if traffic is inconvenience to you, if you feel uncomfortable by this, learn how we feel uncomfortable by this. We don't want to be doing this. We want to be American and what it means to be American as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here doing this.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what most people understand is you kind of what I like about what you're doing is being peaceful is blocking traffic. That's peaceful.
Right.
Tearing down buildings is not what you're doing, and
right.
and life has to be a little uncomfortable for people to listen. Not violence, but laying in the street is not what I would call violence.
Laying in the street is vulnerable. Laying in the street is literally
my
asking.
train's going by.
I've never been to LA either. Seeing what real traffic is like, because the amount of traffic we're holding up, trust me. I mean, what you spend 15 to 20 minutes at the most. I mean,
Is that great? I love my trains. No, that train goes by and you feel like I'm in a city.
It's like right there.
Harriet Tubman is
It's
freedom.
seriously.
Also, change that 20 to Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
Which one is
Yes.
Which one is
Yes.
Which one is
Andrew Jackson needs to be changed to Harriet Tubman. I know they didn't post
And can we
that. I
get
was
Thomas
just-
Jefferson off of whatever he's on?
Absolutely too.
All right, so you guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming in here and
Of course.
trusting me and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for encouraging us from the back. And you guys remember, this is it's called Get Real with Rick Dancer, and the buck stops here, and that's what it is. The buck stops here means it stops right with you. So you don't look at other people to make the change. I know Michael Jackson is kind of the bad word sometimes, but the man in the mirror, I love that song. I'm starting with the man in the mirror because it's really easy to try to change everybody else. And if everybody else did this, then everything would be fine. But instead you go back and you look in that mirror and go, all I can change is Rick Dancer. I can't change anybody else, but I can change Rick Dancer. And then people start moving.
Thank you, Rick. It was an honor.
Tom,
Yeah,
it was so
thank you
wonderful
so
to talk
much.
with you guys.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to watch it. I know her on that video. You should start doing a little of that. You know?
You want me to get out some cheer moves? I'll get my cheerleaders in the front, line them up, and we can start leading the crowd. I coach
Okay.
how to lead a crowd.
So Saturday night, 6 o'clock, Alton Baker Park, if you want to join the next protest. And the ending location is always the surprise part, because if you tell that, you kind of ruin everything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Come get some exercise.
All right, you guys. So
Yes.
we took a whole entire hour. Share this on your page. Let people know what's going on. And then do some of the things that we're talking about. You know, look up some of the things. The
Watch
Netflix
the
series.
documentary 13th. It's just a 1, 3, and then a TH on Netflix. That is an amazing one. And also, Who Killed Malcolm X on Netflix. And Netflix also has a Black Lives Matter whole section
Amazon
right now.
does too as well.
Yeah,
Please
they're
check them out.
so great.
I don't know about plugging Amazon. I'm just saying.
Dear
check
White
out if you
People,
have it.
that's another great one.
And then remember, here locally, if you want to call it, it's Black Unity. So that gives room for a whole bunch of people. And remember, I love what you said about Black Lives Matter too. I like the two because I think it says
Kind
something
of like
else.
emphasize, like,
Yeah.
not saying Black Lives Matter.
Like I said, that was the original statement.
Yeah.
We live in a world where Black
Black
Lives
Lives
Matter
Matter
too.
All right.
Shortened down to Black Lives Matter.
All right, you guys have a good day. See you later. That's the way to start your weekend, huh? You say we don't give you
Much
anything.
love.
Yeah.